If you're a clinic owner or med spa running paid ads, but you're not sure it's working or you're not sure if it's actually producing revenue for your business, this video is for you. I'm Richard Gibbons, founder of Boost My Customers. We are a specialist marketing agency working with med spas and clinics across the world for the past 8 years, helping them grow revenue, be more profitable, and making sure their marketing is efficient and trackable returns for their investments. Now, today I'm going to walk you through a simple Google Sheet that we have to ensure if we're spending money, how do we know what we're tracking? How do we know what we're spending is actually getting results? And how do we know if our marketing agency is actually telling the truth? Is this working? Is this not? I'm going to dive into all of that today. So let me just make myself a bit smaller. And where do we start? So when you're running paid ads online, you can get a massive report. There's so many different bits of data and metrics that you'll be sent by Facebook, by, say, a marketing agency. It can lead to analysis paralysis where you're seeing all this data, you're seeing you're spending something, but it's really hard to track that back into growth for your business. Or if you are seeing growth, is it profitable? And are you actually being efficient with your advertising spend? So what we want to do to begin with is work on data rather than feelings. So if you're running marketing, but you haven't got solid data and you're only running it because you think it's correlating into business, that is a huge red flag. The beauty with online advertising now is that you've got so much data, they literally tell you everything. Say, compared to when you're running newsletters or papers or radio ads, it was much harder to track your spend. How many people are actually listening to it? How many people are coming into your clinic or med spa from that? It was way trickier. But now, fast forward to today, it's so easy to see we're spending this and we're getting this back. The problem lies in which metrics are we actually tracking to ensure if it's a success or if it's a failure. So we don't want to rely on feelings, we want to rely on data. And when we're starting out, there's 3 main metrics that we say to focus on. There's more that I'll discuss later on in this video. But to begin with, we want to keep it simple. And we want to look at our cost per lead. So how much does it cost you? How much do you have to spend on Meta, on Google, or any marketing platform, really, to get an inquiry? So a lead is typically name, email, phone number of someone who potentially wants to visit your med spa. Now, when you're running adverts for high-end treatments, it's way better to add more qualifying questions that we'll talk later on in this video. But for the sake of this little bit, we're going to say a lead is someone who's given a name, email, phone number. So we want to figure out how much does it cost us to get a lead. Then we know not every lead is going to convert into a consultation. They may have contraindications. They may not be a good fit. They may press a button by accident or whatever excuse they give. I wish everyone would convert, but really, in truth, they're not going to. So we then want to work out our cost per consultation. So how much does it cost you to actually get someone in your door of your clinic or med spa and have a face-to-face consultation with them? And then we want to know how much does it cost you to get a treatment plan started. Again, not every consultation is going to convert, especially when you're running ads to cold traffic. It's going to be a bit trickier to convert them. So we want to figure out our cost per treatment plan as well. And once we know these 3 key metrics, that's going to allow us to scale. Because imagine you're spending £1 or $1 and you're getting £10 back. That is a money-making machine. You're going to pour as much money into that machine as possible because you're literally getting a 10x on whatever you're investing. Whereas if you're putting £1 in and I'm not too sure if it's making money, if it's not, you're going to be way more hesitant to actually scale and ensure your marketing is pushing up and up. You're going to stay stuck and be wondering why your marketing is not effective. And you're going to be like, Facebook ads are a scam, and not too sure about actually continuing. So when we're doing marketing, slow is smooth is fast. We want to make sure we're doing the basics, the fundamentals first, before getting excited or over confused with all of these other metrics that we may get chucked at. And the real thing is, when working with clinics all the time, we speak to them every day, is we want to make sure our marketing strategy is data driven. Meaning, again, we're not working and we think this is good. We're not too sure. Our team says it's great. Our team says it's not good. What does the data actually say? And the data doesn't lie. You can see it there. You can see if it's working or not. But if you haven't got the systems in place, that data is going to be an absolute mess. And it's going to be really hard to dig through that and find the key metrics that we're looking for. So when we're tracking conversion rates, it's really helping us understand how well our leads are converting into sales. And that is an absolute game changer. We also want to know our customer acquisition cost, which is pretty much our cost per treatment plan as well, which is knowing how much you're spending to acquire each customer. And that's going to help keep your budget on track and know whatever you're spending is an investment rather than pouring money down the drain. And another key metric to look at just in the future is the lifetime value of your customer. So maybe you're spending quite a high cost per lead and it's costing you, you seem to think, gosh, we're spending say £300, $300 to get someone to start this treatment plan. But when you look at the lifetime value of that patient or client, it could be £5,000, £10,000. And actually looking at it to spend £300 to get someone in isn't too scary. And again, that's a thing to look at later down the line. And then really we're going to adjust based on results. So marketing is all about testing, testing, testing. You're never going to get it right the first time. And if you do feel like you got it right the first time, duplicate that, make iterations and see how you can improve it. There's always ways to improve and there's always ways to progress. So we want to make sure we're testing, measuring and tweaking. And that means constantly refining your approach to help things be aligned with your goals. And then we've got actionable insights, so tracking it in a way which gives you insights for your next steps. Now, the easiest way to go about this, I've got a Google Sheet which I will link below, absolutely free, use it for yourself, is making a Google Sheet here and just writing out cost per lead, cost per consult, cost per treatment plan. And here you can put in the price point of your treatment. So say your treatment is £1,000 or $1,000. This is going to auto-populate and tell you what roughly your cost per lead should be, what your cost per consult should be, and cost per treatment plan. But really, it doesn't even matter too much about this to begin with. We want to make sure you're tracking it. So what is your cost per lead? Say it's at $30 at the moment, and then your cost per consultation, say 1 out of 3 leads are already converting. So it's $100, and then actually 1 out of 5 people are actually going ahead with the treatment plan. Maybe they're not a good fit. You can track it here, and then you've got more clarity. Then you know what to spend. You can also track your cost per click, your unique click-through rates, and bits like this. But just having it out on a simple sheet, again, this is not the most groundbreaking, crazy video. This is the fundamentals that most clinics I speak to miss, or I ask them their numbers, and they're not too sure about it. So make sure you're running marketing. I can even put a link below on how to track this inside of Ads Manager, inside Meta. But make sure you know your cost per lead, cost per consult, and then cost per treatment plan. And that's going to have a huge effect on scaling your business if you want to push your advertising, because you know you're spending X amount and you're getting X back. You can also go further down the rabbit hole, and this is what we do and kind of when we do a full audit for clinics and med spas, is looking at, great, what is your conversion rate across all of your inquiries? What's your conversion rate on organic and paid? Because it could be you're running paid ads, and obviously that's a way colder traffic. They typically don't know, like, or trust you yet. Compared to organic, maybe it's a referral, maybe it's friends and family. Then naturally, going to be worth a little bit more, easier to convert compared to someone who doesn't know you yet and it's the first time they've ever stepped inside of a med spa. That's going to be a different strategy. So it's really useful to know your conversion rate across all inquiries combined, and then organic and paid. Then it's really useful to know your lead response time. So how quickly do your team contact inquiries that come through? So the quicker you contact leads, the higher conversion you're going to get. If it takes you a few hours or a few days to get back to an inquiry, you're going to notice they're not picking up the phone. They don't know who you are. They say, oh, I never inquired about this. And 9 times out of 10, it's not because they weren't a good fit. It's because your team or yourself took too long to actually contact those inquiries. Of course, you need to make sure they're qualified. And that will be a separate video where we can talk about our qualification progress to get actual high-end patients for your clinic. But making sure you know your lead response time. So map all of this out. How effective is your follow-up out of 10? Rank it. What do you feel you're doing? The number of new patient registrations you've got, customer retention rate, the quality of data, patient satisfaction, and revenue per lead. And when you map this out, this gives you a 360 view of your clinic, of your marketing. This is a little bit more advanced, but again, it's really useful to know when you're spending X amount of money on ads. Is it actually profitable? It may be your focus needs to be fully inorganic, and you can see the progress here. This is why this Google Sheet is so valuable. So we've got an example of a clinic we worked with. They were actually a plastic surgeon, and we can see they were converting around 20% of all of their inquiries on organic and paid. Their target was to hit 35-40%. We mapped out their targets, and we're currently beating the targets and working on the organic ones as well. So you can see once you've got it mapped out, it gives you a full 360 view of this data. And then you can speak to a team and say, hey team, we noticed like it's taking you around 5 hours to get back to inquiries. The target here is 15 minutes. If we increase this and just focus on this one metric this week, forget all the others, is how can we respond to leads quicker? Naturally, you'll see everything else increasing. So this is a lot to take in. But again, this is what you need to be tracking with your business. But to keep it simple, literally focus on cost per lead, cost per consultation, cost per treatment plan, and you will naturally see things improve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to link below a document where you can do this. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you with your marketing and just do this all for you, again, there'll be a link for a free strategy call with our team where we'll walk you through from A to Z how we help hundreds of clinics around the world generate more revenue without needing to discount, without fake scarcity tactics, and all of that nonsense you're seeing online. This is positioning you as an industry leader in your area, so your dream patients are naturally reaching out to you, wanting lifelong skincare plans. So I'm Richard Gibbons, founder at Boost My Customers. Lovely speaking with you all, and we will chat soon.